Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 has already gained an unprecedented level of attention for a game in the flight sim genre. The gaming press talk about it at every opportunity, and comments abound on the internet from people who have never before even played a flight sim but are extremely keen to jump in on this title. Now this might all seem a little odd then, and certainly for long-time fans of the genre, that such wide interest in flight sim titles is definitely a little unusual. So in this video I'm going to take a look at the top 6 reasons why people are excited for Flight Simulator 2020. I think it's fair to say that one of the first things people notice about Microsoft Flight Simulator are these seriously impressive graphics. And in most cases this has been conveyed through the landscapes and cities. Using satellite imagery from Microsoft's Bing Map services, developers Asobo Studios have access to almost an unrivaled level of detail on our very own planet Earth. Using this data, combined with some seriously clever programming tech, it's been possible to recreate Earth on a one-to-one scale. Now, naturally, Flight Simulator 2020 is far from the first flight sim to feature the entire world. In fact, this has actually become a staple of many flight sims, and to an extent, it's now expected. But where Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 truly shines is in its unrivaled and unprecedented level of detail. It's no secret within the flight sim genre that most titles feature entire swaths of empty, flat, and largely featureless landscape. When generating hills, valleys, rises and falls, it requires data points that together create a terrain mesh, a virtual representation of an area's landscape and topology. And of course, if we're going to look at this on a planetary scale, it would require levels of storage and processing power that is generally unavailable. And if we're being totally honest here, not only unavailable, but also pretty much unreasonable. This then is why many flight sims, out of the box at least, and in their unmodified vanilla form, instead opt to recreate in detail only the most visited areas, in addition to perhaps some of the more spectacular locations such as mountain ranges. For the most part, other less visited or less dramatic terrain is rendered as a flat plain. It's a compromise, and one which for the most part has become the norm. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 has moved past this convention by using cloud computing technology combined with their Bing Map data services and intelligent algorithms to create an unprecedented detailed terrain mesh for the entire planet. What's more, this terrain mesh has been populated by previously unseen levels of details, with all manners of biome and environment closely matching their real-world counterparts. It's easy then to see why this has instantly captured the minds of not just simmers, but also gamers everywhere. It might be something that we've all experienced, but weather is certainly something that both games and simulators alike often struggle to perfect, and understandably so. Simulating complex weather patterns, after all, is no easy task, but it's a challenge that Asobo Studios have risen to, and the Flight Simulator development team have gone to great lengths to make the weather be the best it can possibly be. And what's more, weather is about so much more than just rain or sun. It's also about lighting. In fact, I think it could be more than reasonably argued that lighting has gone a huge way to making Flight Simulator look so realistic. This amazing lighting technique has been achieved by developing a scattering system that calculates light as it moves through a variety of layers of particles, which include, among other things, clouds, fog and pollution. Rain is simulated in 3D, meaning that you can actually move through the rain. And further, the motion of each drop of rainwater is calculated as it moves around the plane's windshield, providing for a very realistic effect. Now, rain isn't the only thing rendered in 3D, both fog and even rainbows are fully volumetric. And perhaps most interesting though is how all the weather tech is put to use. Flight Simulator would also be able to use real-world weather data, meaning that the weather patterns in-game would match the current real-world weather patterns, and if it's raining somewhere in the real life, then it would also be raining in the same location in-game. Real-world weather data then includes things such as 60 layers of real-time cloud data, storms, rain, pressure, humidity, temperature, wind direction, and more. This also means that when navigating around the world, pilots will need to take things like the jet stream into account. It's also worth pointing out that the position of the sun, stars and moon are also seasonally located, meaning they will be in the correct location for each moment of the year. Cities. What wonderfully varied locations. Now, flight sims have attempted to recreate cities for as long as flight sims have existed. In the early days, this meant a splodge of disparate colours sprinkled on the ground. Eventually, it led to a few geometric cubes and other shapes scattered around to represent a centre of population. Even many modern flight sim titles struggle to make cities look great, with any truly decent-looking cities reserved purely for downloadable content. Microsoft Flight Simulator appears to have overcome this issue with some incredible results. The cities and towns here are also so realistic that they are instantly recognisable. In fact, Microsoft have gone so far as to say that everyone on Earth will be able to find and locate their own house. It's an amazing prospect. Naturally, the recreation of cities, like with landscape, is thanks to Microsoft's huge volumes of satellite and aerial data. Put to good use in conjunction with Microsoft's Azure Cloud Tech and Asobo's enigmatic software algorithms, each city and town has been created at an unprecedented level of detail. Now, I've seen some concerns expressed that while we've seen plenty of cities from relatively high altitudes, it's possible, maybe, that on closer inspection the cities might not hold up so well. Fortunately then, Microsoft has put out plenty of footage and screenshots showing buildings from a low-level flight, and they look equally impressive. Flying to all the cities around the world then, and looking for famous landmarks, not to mention flying over your hometown, is likely to be a high priority on many people's lists of activities. What's a flight sim without planes? And perhaps more to the point, what's flying planes without aerodynamics? When development began on Flight Simulator 2020, Asobo Studios completely rewrote the aerodynamics engine from scratch. Each plane has been broken into 1,000 simulated surfaces, and this can include the wings, wheels, fuselage, and many other areas of the plane as well. Each surface will be affected by different air pressures, wind speed, turbulence, and airflow. In short, it means that flying these planes will feel very realistic, and a massive variety of factors will influence how the plane handles from moment to moment as the circumstances around the plane and the surfaces change. The aforementioned weather systems also feeds into the aerodynamics model, and it means that the volumetric clouds will come with turbulence and up as well as downdrafts. Further, planes will be affected by storms, supercells, and other weather. Planes then should certainly fly very accurately. As for the planes themselves, well, it turns out they've been implemented accurately, with the assistance from both the manufacturers as well as real-world test pilots. Huge amounts of effort has gone into ensuring the planes themselves match their real-world counterparts, and this even extends to the interiors, with the cockpits being correctly represented not only visually, but also with accurate audioscapes and even fully recreated sound stages. All locations are of importance when it comes to flight sims, but undoubtedly one of the most important are airports. With over 44,000 airports, Microsoft Flight Simulator will feature literally all of them in the world. Over 32,000 of these have been manually edited to ensure improved accuracy and detail, whilst 80 of the most iconic have been handcrafted to fully match the real-world airports they represent. Airports are also full of life, with workers, vehicles, and ATC being fully represented. It also seems no detail is too small when it comes to airports, as it will be possible to even see people moving around, busying themselves with their work. Airports then can be found in just about any type of environment and location, whether that's coastal, city, desert, remote island, or indeed just about anywhere and everywhere else. In many ways, airports will be the thing that ties the world together as pilots travel from location to location. The cloud tech in Flight Simulator looks like it's going to be spectacular. Clouds are generated from 32 layers with varying degrees of fuzziness, density, and shape. What's more, each cloud is fully volumetric, meaning that they can be viewed from any angle. And Asobo Studios are adamant that there's absolutely no billboarding going on here, with things like clouds being represented by sprites. Clouds also form in a natural manner based upon updraft, wind, and other elements, meaning that they behave the same as real clouds. The complexity of the cloud simulation means that all cloud types can be simulated, and with a view distance of 600 kilometers, it means they will extend all the way to the horizon. Clouds also self-shadow, as well as cast shadows upon each other. What's more, terrain such as mountains can cast shadows upon clouds, whilst at the same time clouds will cast shadows across the ground. Any small gaps or break in the cloud cover will allow light to pass through and therefore affect the shape and manner of the shadows. Further, pilots will be able to change cloud cover on the fly, depending on the type of experience they want to have. With such a variety, the idea of flying over, around and through clouds invokes all manner of flight-based adventures. It would have been very easy to make this video a top 10 or even a top 20. Many of the points mentioned here could have been further broken down to more finer points, but instead I wanted to focus on a smaller selection, therefore allowing me to get into more detail on each of them. But that's not to say that the other things are not worth a brief mention, far from it in fact. So here's a rundown on a number of the other things I'm looking forward to in Flight Simulator 2020, and I suspect many others are as well. Seeing your own house. Now I've seen many comments in my videos from people stating that they want to visit their own house, and more than a few saying that no matter how they achieve it, they want to land near their own house. Flying into spectacular sunsets. The weather environments in Flight Simulator appears to be unrivaled, truly next gen. It's understandable perhaps then that one of the things I want to do first, and likely a number of other people too, is to fly into one of those spectacular sunsets over a gorgeous looking landscape. Visiting foreign or remote locations. Now, travelling the world is something that isn't available to everyone, but with so many locations being realised so accurately, visiting areas that you might not otherwise ever get the chance to visit is without doubt high on the list. Well, that then brings us to an end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.